This is the Sea to Summit 3-person, 3-season, highly adaptable Ikos TR3. And it's a pretty dang impressive tent, quite honestly. I mean, this thing is not only reasonably sustainable, but stupendously versatile. I'm talking camping, road tripping, beach lounging, ultralight setups. You name it, this tent could do it. But we'll get to all that in a sec. First, let's start with some features and whether or not it's even a tent you'd want to use. Right off the bat, let's talk setup, because nobody likes a tent that's overly complicated and instigates screaming matches between you and your camping buddies because you can't agree on which pole goes where. Fortunately, the Ikos TR3 is not that. It's actually pretty easy to set up, partly because all the poles are connected, which does make for quite the handful, but also means less complicated instructions are required. Especially when you consider that the poles are symmetrical, meaning you can install either end at the head or foot of the tent and it doesn't matter. No fussing with which end goes on which side. Though you do have to make sure that the crossbar is on top of the main pole structure, not underneath it. Otherwise, it's pretty straightforward, and the fly just easily hooks onto the tent body, or the poles themselves for a fly-only setup, but we'll get to that shortly. As for other features, I dig how oversized the doors are. It makes getting you and your gear in and out of the tent super easy. The door tiebacks are great too. They really hold the fabric in place and out of the way, which is not the case with all tents. Inside, it's got 2 spacious gear lofts, plus 2 corner pockets on the ceiling of each end, plus 2 lower side pockets, which is fantastic because you gotta have a place to stash your headlamps and evening reading material and, I don't know, hard cider. You know what I'm saying. The fly has some welcome design features too, including multi-directional airflow vents at the top of the fly, which you can zip closed if you prefer, but together with plenty of space at the bottom of the tent between the fly and the actual ground, the vent helps keep air moving in the tent from getting too stuffy and the interior walls from building up too much condensation. I mean, Sea to Summit did high-tech tests and the tent really does retain less heat and humidity. But you want to know about interior space, am I right? Of course I'm right. But yes, there's a copious amount of headroom in here. I mean, while the walls do curve in a bit, that butterfly crosspole design really does push them back out again at the top and make for an extremely pleasant amount of headspace. You could easily fit 3 people in here for sleeping or for sitting and playing cards or whatever. Or 2 people and a dog. Or 2 people in an excessive amount of gear. Basically, there's lots of room. In fact, you could fit 3 people plus each of their packs in there. That said, this is more of a camping tent than a backpacking tent. It's fairly heavy at just under 7 pounds and pretty large even when packed down at about 20 inches long. Of course, if 3 people are sleeping in it, you could have 1 person carry the poles and stakes, 1 carry the tent body, 1 carry the fly, and it wouldn't be too bad, I guess. It is a bit heavy for 2 people though, is all I'm saying. I wouldn't want to carry half of it on a backpacking trip. I mean, half of this tent is more weight than carrying my whole Big Agnes Tiger Wall. We'll link to that review below. However, there are a few setup options that would not only make this a lighter tent, but stupendously versatile too. But more on that in a sec because I want to talk about the sustainability of this tent real quick. For starters, it's made with a chemical-free flame-resistant fabric, which is good because traditional flame retardants have been shown to have harmful effects on health. They're just yucky. The water repellent finish is totally PFC free and the poles are made with a greener anodization process that's less environmentally harmful. All great stuff. But as promised, let's talk about versatility because that's a huge selling point of this tent. Why, you ask? Let me tell you. Because there's not 1, not 2, but 5 ways to set this tent up. Yes, 5. It's a lot. I know. and I love it. First, you've got your standard classic setup with the tent body and fly. Then you have tent body only mode, you know, for those warm nights with no rain in the forecast when you just want a little more fresh air and to be able to enjoy your surroundings. Then there's a fly only mode for if you prefer a more lightweight setup or just want a quick pitch to wait out some rain. And you can pitch just the fly with or without the tent footprint, which is sold separately, of course. Then there's partial fly mode, and I love this one because it provides excellent versatility for just in case type conditions. You attach the fly as usual, then unclip the feet on one end, roll up the fly to the crossbars, secure in place with the toggle, and voila! Half fly. You can do it on one end of the fly or on both, which lets you stargaze or feel the breeze or hang out away from swarms of ravenous mosquitoes while still being able to enjoy the scenery. But if some inclement weather rolls in, you can quickly unfurl the fly again to stay nice and dry. Love it. The last setup option is hangout mode, which makes this tent not only great for camping, but hanging out at the beach, festivals, you name it. It's like the fly only setup, but instead of staking the whole thing directly to the ground, you prop up one end with any old pair of trekking poles. We'll link to a review of some of our favorites below, and voila! You have a shady and dry hangout spot to sit and relax. I mean, it's brilliant, frankly. It's brilliant. Also, you can do a dry pitch with this tent, which really comes in handy in the rain. Basically, you set up the fly first, then thanks to the simple quick connect feed, pitch the tent body inside the fly so it all stays dry. So many things, right? Now, the Ikos TR3 isn't a budget tent at $529, but if it's the only tent you have to buy because it can do just about everything, then it's not that bad a deal. I mean, I would totally make this my go-to car camping tent. It's super spacious, has plenty of headroom, seems pretty dang durable, is easy to set up. I mean, I just want to keep the poles and fly in my car at all times so that I can just prop up my own shady picnic spot at any swimming hole or picnic area. Naturally, we'll drop a link to the 3-person and the 2-person Ikos TR tents below, but we'd be freaking stoked if you hit subscribe and ring that bell so you don't miss any of our future rad gear reviews. Then check out even more stuff like, I don't know, gear guides on Terradrift.com, and give us a follow on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We're at Terradrift. Then pitch your tent, wander on. I said pitch your tent.